yoga friends. I am here on the other side of my phone going to draw some yoga stick figures for you. So here is an example of a postcard that I give to a lot of my students. So it's a yoga for anytime practice. Got the stick figures there and information about my one-on-one sessions on the back. So I just released recently a how to draw yoga stick figures video course. So you can get all the details on how to draw these yourself in a detailed course. But I thought it would be fun to sit here and draw a practice for you live and also make a key for the symbols that I use in the stick figure classes, so that if you get one of these postcards or if I write a practice for you, it will be clear what all of these symbols and abbreviations and all that stuff means. So that's what we'll do today. We'll draw a key to yoga stick figures by drawing one. So I'm going to try to incorporate all of the kind of fundamental symbols and things that I use. So we'll just go ahead and call this a yoga stick figures key. So we'll start with a variation of Vajrasana. So Vajrasana begins in a kneeling position, and it goes to, there's lots of variations. Usually it goes into child's pose. And in this version that we're going to draw, I'll have one arm behind the back and one arm reaching overhead. And boop, that is the nose. And so I will label this right hand behind the back and left arm overhead, and the nose is there. And so that will tell you that your head is turning towards your left arm. So there's that. And then we have the arrows to indicate movement. So when you exhale, you'll go down into this variation on child's pose. And when you inhale, you'll come back up to this kneeling position. So in our practice, let's say we do this 8 times, alternating. And so let's just look at all of the notations that I used right there. We have IN for inhale. And we have EX for exhale. And then we have this X here, and that indicates how many repetitions. And then we also have this Alt, which means alternate. And so you'll do 8 times alternating arms each time you come down. And then we'll do a standing pose. So because I am a special kind of nerd, even though this practice is primarily just to demonstrate the key for, you know, what do all the stick figures and all of the notations mean, it's still like an actual practice you could do if you wanted. Okay, so here is a standing lunge. This is Virabhadrasana. And sometimes we do like a posture the same way every single repetition. And sometimes we add in variations to them. And so I have this variation of Virabhadrasana that I like to do, where first you start with, when you inhale, you come forward and you just turn your palms forward. And then you take your arms out to like 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. And then you take your arms up to 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. And then you bring your arms all the way overhead. And so these dotted lines will mean that there's a variation. And so, for example, in this variation on Virabhadrasana, each time we do those little dots, we'll do those little different positions for 2 times each. And so we'll do EA is each. Okay, so we did a little kneeling posture, we did a standing back bend, so we'll do a forward bend to compensate for that. We'll put the exhaler. And some of the time when I am drawing, when we're doing a yoga practice, particularly in Viniyoga, sometimes we're just doing the movements, but it is also possible to manipulate the breath when you're moving in and out of a posture. And so in this one, let us lengthen the inhale and the exhale. And so we'll do this 4 times, and then we'll lengthen the inhale and exhale each repetition. And let's just do like 1 count. So what do we added here? So we have CT equals count. And so often a count is a second, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a second. It can be your own internal counting is totally fine. And then rep is repetition. Or if you're doing something with sides, you could also call that a round. So here I am just drawing a yoga stick figures key for you if you're just joining us. This is a little sample of the kind of thing that you'll see in my How to Draw Yoga Stick Figures course I have on omchantris.com. All right, so we got this Uttanasana, we got the breath cues here. Oh, and we have this upward facing arrow, which that means to lengthen. And in particular, I use that just to indicate to lengthen the breath. And we'll go ahead and use BR for breath there. Let's move my clipboard up here a little bit. Okay, so moving along. Oh, there's cords in the way now. Ah, well, that's all right. Okay, so, all right, we did a standing forward bend. We'll come into a triangle pose next. So let's first do triangle pose. We'll come in and out a few times first. And then we'll stay. And when we stay, we'll add in this arm sweep here. And in this arm sweep, we'll do another thing with the breath. So, okay, let's say that we do this triangle pose. Let's go 4 times on each side. And then when we get here into this arm sweep thing, we'll do another thing with the breath. And so in this Uttanasana we just did, we did inhale, we lengthen inhale and exhale by 1 count. In this one, let's annotate this. We're now going to work on holding the breath at the end of the inhale. And so we call that retention. So we're gonna go retention equals 0 seconds, 0 seconds, 1 second, 1 second. So we'll do twice for 0 seconds and twice for 1 second. So what do we have added into our notation now? We have RET for retention. And then we have, let's say that we go down now to the floor. We'll come back in to hands and knees. And we'll go to child's pose. And let's do this 4 times and then stay for 4 times. And so when you say stay, that is always indicating the last thing in the end of the sequence, generally. If it doesn't, then I would probably add a little notation or an arrow just like I did there. So stay, you can do repetitions. Oops. We would stay not 4 times, we would stay 4 breaths. And so BR is going to be breath. And then that is actually a pretty complete sequence. Let's just add one more thing here. So this is just a little anatomy of a stick figure. So we have the head, we've got a little nose there. There's the spine, the leg, the foot, and then arms. So pretty simple anatomy of a stick figure there. And then, let's have the arms out to the side actually. And then, so to indicate a twist, it can be a little bit tricky. And so a twist is a little squiggly S-shaped line. So here, my stick figure is going from laying down into a reclining twist. And that's how we see the twist there. And so, okay, we've done inhale, we've done exhale, we've done retention. Let's say in this one, we now want to work with suspension. So let's say that we do this, we did this one, retention. We'll do that each side on this one. And in this one, we'll do alternating sides. And we'll do suspension. That is the hold at the end of the exhale for same pattern, 0, 0, 1, 1 second. So we have these little tick marks equal seconds. And then the suspension is SUS, is suspension. And we can just add to retention just as a reminder, that is hold after inhale. And suspension is hold after exhale. And so I don't always include this breath adaptation in a yoga practice, but working with the breath like this is a really excellent way to work with the nervous system. So when you work with suspension, when you work with suspension and hold after exhale, then that tends to have a calming effect on the nervous system. And when you work with retention and hold after inhale, that tends to have a little bit more invigorating effect on the nervous system. So like if you're, if you are working with your energy levels, then incorporating breath into your practice is something that we can do, but it's not something I do for everyone. Lots of times people just want to do yoga for the stretching, which I get. All right, so that's actually a pretty complete practice we've made for our key. So what I would do next is just a little apanasana. So a little knees in and out with the chest. And then let's just do that 4 times. And then we would do a rest in Shavasana. And let's just do 2 or 3 minutes. It's a short practice. And so just like on this card that I made, you can see I have numbers here for each of the postures. And so that is just easy for when you're having a discussion about a practice. So if I were to give you this practice and you're like, oh, I don't know what I'm supposed to do on number 2, what do those dots mean? Then it's easy to see, to reference each posture so that you know what you're talking about without even having to know the name of the poses. And in this case, we have triangle pose. We have two different things happening in triangle pose. So we'll have a 4A and a 4B. 5 is this in and out of child's pose. 6 is the twist. 7 is Apanasana. And then at the very end, number 8, we have Shavasana. So normally Shavasana would go over here in the second column, but the second column here is taken up by my key of all the abbreviations. And so I will upload this onto my Facebook page and Instagram and all of the things so that you can have a copy of this stick figures key. I'll put it on the website so that you'll have easy access to my notes about what is a yoga stick figure practice look like, how to read it. And if you are interested in learning how to draw yoga stick figures, then you can find that on my website at www.omchantress.com. And if you're watching live right now, if you have any requests, I take requests. So if you'd like to see me draw a yoga stick figure, just go ahead and drop your stick figure requests in the comments below, and I will see it pop up on my screen here, and I will draw a yoga stick figure for you. So just a reminder, I got how to draw. Fortunately, this is about how to draw yoga stick figures and not about how to have nice handwriting. As you can see, I'm a lefty and it's a little bit weird. So my website is www.omchantress.com. And I'll actually have a banner on the top of my website so that you can see a link to that video course. So thanks for watching. Let's draw a little twisting guy. And I have a blog post about pigeon up on my website. So we'll draw the, we'll just draw this version of pigeon. So thanks so much for watching. And I will see you later. Happy stick figure drawing. Bye!